So recently, some of the media buyers and I at Linx Digital have been using this brand new YouTube ad strategy that has been producing some really great results that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And I'm pleased to say that this strategy is what's responsible for taking some of our clients that were barely breaking even on YouTube ads to absolutely now crushing it. And I'm super excited to share this strategy with you. But before I jump into that, I quickly do want to mention our YouTube ads course and coaching program. Now, if you are somebody that wants to master YouTube ads and wants to learn everything from A to Z and wants to get live coaching every single week where you can jump on, ask questions, and gain feedback, well, then I recommend going and checking the top link in this description for more information on our coaching program. And with that, let's jump into what exactly this strategy is. So essentially what the strategy is going out there with a specific type of ad and targeting it to a big, broad audience, and then going and remarketing people who were actually interested in the ad and that viewed the ad with a very specific type of remarketing ad. So the reason why this strategy works so well is because when you go super broad with this type of ad, the cost of actually getting your ads in front of the right person are actually lower than when you are going in a very targeted approach. And then when you follow up with a remarketing campaign, your costs will also be a lot lower if you set up your campaigns in a specific way, which I'm going to show you right now. So let's jump onto my computer and I'll show you exactly how to set up this campaign strategy. And then we'll quickly talk about what sort of ads actually work well with this strategy. So let's jump into my dashboard and I'll show you exactly how to set up this campaign. So we're gonna go ahead and create a new campaign. Now you can do this either with sales or leads, depending on what sort of offer you have. We'll just go with sales for now. But basically for this cold campaign, you just want page views as your main conversion action to optimize for because it's going out to a big audience. And I'll kind of go over what the other sort of campaign objective will be for the remarketing campaign because it's going to be crucial. So let's go ahead and make this campaign. So we're just going to do a YouTube ad and it's going to be driving conversions, as you can see here. The key thing to note here is that we are not going for a target CPA campaign. This type of campaign actually works best with maximized conversions because it's going to show your ad to a lot more people and the costs are going to be low. So let's call this, let's go test campaign and we can do $50 a day. And I can just do quick United States and English is my language. Now this is pretty standard when it comes to all of your regular campaign building, right? Now one of the things you are going to want to do is do a frequency capping, both on impressions as well as views. So what I think is a good appropriate number is 2 impressions a week as well as 2 views a week, right? We don't really want the same person watching the ad over and over. And then this can be scheduled all day, third-party measurement, no, and then ad group, same thing. Test ad group. And then these are the same demographic things. Depending on what your target audience is, fill this out appropriately. So I will do just the top 10% of income earners, right? We'll do unknown. And then when it comes to the actual audience targeting, this is where things actually get interesting. You're gonna go and do a lot of interest-based targeting. So in-market segments, as we like to call it. So let's say we are promoting some sort of fitness offer, right? Let's say a high-ticket coaching. So let's go into figuring out sports and fitness. Let's go to fitness products and services, personal trainings, online fitness classes, boom. And basically, because of our geographic and demographic restrictions, we are going to actually have a pretty specific audience type, which is perfect for this type of campaign. And then we don't want to use optimized targeting. And then we don't really want to do keywords or placements, though you can also experiment with this sort of approach with keywords and placements. But I do think it works a little bit better with broader audiences like the in-market audiences. So let's go into the actual ad creation because this is a very crucial part. Right now, I don't really have an ad for you guys for this specific example. So we'll just take a regular YouTube video on our channel and we'll run that as an ad, right? So let's say we've done this video it works well, and basically we've filled out and we've created this campaign. Now that we've created our first initial campaign, let's just pretend like we uploaded this video as an unlisted video. What you're actually going to want to do is come into your audiences, your audience manager inside your AdWords dashboard, and then create a custom audience for anybody that's viewed a specific video from your channel, right, as an ad. And this is the key thing that makes this entire thing work. So obviously we chose this in-stream versus discovery ads video over here. So what I'll do is make an audience for people who have actually viewed this as an ad. So this is somebody who's either clicked on the ad or watched more than 30 seconds, right? So this is what it would count as a conversion. And I'm going to pre-fill this with the last 30 days, as well as make this segment as big as possible. So now that this watched sample ad, now that I have this audience segment built, right, and it's going to take a little bit to populate. It usually takes anywhere from 24 to 72 hours in my experience. Once this audience is up and running, what I can do is target everybody inside this audience. So this is going to be everybody that's actually watched our ad. And the way you set up the remarketing campaign is going to be a little bit different than how you set up the initial campaign. So instead of going for sales, what you're actually going to do is go for brand awareness and reach. And the reason for this is because this is going to show your ad to the most number of people, not people who Google thinks will be likely to convert, but everybody in your audience. And because we know that people that have watched your video are going to be a lot more interested in your product or service, getting your ads in front of as many people as possible using this specific objective will be the cheapest way to get your ad in front of the right type of people. So essentially, we're just going to go with a video reach campaign objective as well as efficient reach. So now that we're on the ad set level, most of what we did is going to remain the exact same. So I'll do this remarketing ad sample. And by default, you have to use target CPM, which isn't too big of a deal for this reach campaign. And then you put in your budget, so $50 a day. So we can also exclude the display network, which is actually a pretty cool feature for the brand awareness and reach campaigns, because you can't really do that with some of the other campaign types. Now I'm gonna use the same exact location as before, same languages. I'm gonna expand the inventory here because I want my ad to go to everybody, and since I already know everybody that's going to be in this audience, I can go with expanded inventory. I will still exclude these because I do tend to believe that they don't convert as well as regular YouTube videos. Let's go into additional settings. Frequency capping. Now this is going to be dependent on the offer. If you have a very high ticket offer that needs a lot of touch points, obviously adjust your frequency and impression capping accordingly. If you have a low ticket item that's almost like an impulse buy, obviously you can run a little bit crazier with your impressions and views. So now that we're on the actual targeting section of the ad creation, this is where we actually figure out our audience segment. So we're actually going to go into our custom audience segments here, right? So what we're going to do in our audience segments is come into browse. We're going to go look into your data and similar segments. Come into YouTube users, so this is the audience we just built, and go scroll for our audience. So obviously we just built this watch sample ad audience, and again, it's going to say you might not be able to target it just because it's not populated, right? The audience size, but again, within the next 24 to 72 hours, this will fill. And that's simply it, right? So you can go ahead and put in this video again and then run it as an ad. Now, one of the things that you are going to have to play around with, and this is going to depend on what sort of industry you are or what locations you are targeting. Obviously, the higher tier the niche and location is, the higher your CPMs will be. What I recommend is starting off with something like $20 to $50 per CPM. Again, in certain industries, that's next to nothing. In other industries, that's such a high bid. What I recommend is go with $25. If your campaigns aren't spending, bump that up. If everything is spending, you can start lowering it, though Google will obviously optimize for the lowest CPM. And that should be a good start to get your remarketing campaigns going. And that's basically it. You just want to create this campaign. So now let's quickly talk about the actual ads that you need to make in order to make these types of campaigns successful. Let's quickly talk about the first type of ad, and this is going to be the cold ad that's going to be going to a broad audience. What I recommend is that you make a long form showcase ad. So this showcase ad is going to be basically an ad that's value packed. It's not super salesy, and its main goal is to deliver the viewer as much value as possible. Because this isn't your typical salesy YouTube ad, you are basically trying to get as much trust built with the viewer as possible. So for example, if I was using this strategy for our own internal agency services or our marketing services, I would make an ad that was a tutorial or a guide on how to install YouTube ads tracking on, say, Shopify pages, right? If my ideal target audience was e-commerce store owners, we were trying to get them to do YouTube ads, right? So I would make a very specific video that's value packed, targeting my ideal clients. Now, if you are somebody that's selling, say, physical products, a great way to do a showcase or value ad is actually demonstrating how your product or service is being used live. How do other people actually use it, and what are the benefits that they get from it? So an actual demonstration of a product will also work great as this first initial cold ad. And with these ads, again, you can go super long. If your tutorial or guide or your value-packed video needs to be 10 minutes long, 20 minutes long, well then go ahead and make your ads that long. So now let's talk about the remarketing ads that you will need to use in order to make this strategy successful. So the remarketing ads are going to be results-based ads. So basically, demonstrating the fact that your product or service can actually get results and solve all of the problems that it claims to solve. This is where your ad needs to re-promise all of the benefits of your product or service. And the big thing to actually making all of these remarketing ads work is the inclusion of really strong call to actions. Now, you don't really want to use a lot of call to actions in your cold, broad campaign ads, but with your remarketing ads, you definitely want to be inserting these every 30 seconds or so in your ad. And with that, I want to leave you with two key things that I think you should keep in mind when you are running these types of campaigns. The first is that in the beginning, it might take a while for your ads to actually get a little bit of traction. That's because, again, you saw audiences need time to populate. It might take a while for your remarketing audiences to be built up in order for your campaigns to start spending. And because the majority of the conversions actually come on the remarketing campaign, your first initial ad might actually be unprofitable. Don't get scared of this. You might need to invest a little bit of money in order to build your audiences in the beginning and then reap the benefits from your remarketing campaigns. The second key thing is, because this campaign strategy relies heavily on remarketing campaigns, ad fatigue is a real thing. So make sure that you're going in and checking your frequencies constantly to make sure that you're not over bombarding people with your ads. And if that starts happening and that is the case for you, what I recommend is actually shortening up your remarketing audience pre-fill size. So instead of making it out to be 540 days, I would limit it to something like 10 days. That way, once people are outside of your remarketing audiences and they're not really converting, they won't be served the remarketing ads over and over, and then you can save on cost. And with that, I hope you guys got a great insight into this new technique that we're starting to use and seeing a lot of progress with. If you like this sort of content and you want to be up to date with all of the YouTube ad strategies, what I recommend is that you like this video, first of all, and then second, subscribe to this channel. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.